Have you ever felt like someone is quietly steering your life without ever asking for your permission? Like expectations, responsibilities, and emotional debts just keep piling onto your shoulders as if you were born to carry them all? And strangely, the older we get, the heavier these burdens seem to grow, like an invisible contract we never signed. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But what happens when others start demanding pieces of you, pieces they have no right to take? In this video, we'll unpack 5 requests no one should ever make of you, especially at this stage of life, when you finally know the value of peace and no longer wish to trade it for anything. Because the truth is simple. Anything that disturbs your inner peace is not worth your time. And the moment you truly understand that, your entire life starts to shift. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the Daily Stoic and join our Telegram channel to stay updated with content that nurtures both your personal and spiritual growth. 1. Carrying burdens that aren't yours. There comes a moment in life when you realize you're no longer the hero in other people's dramas. Not because you've stopped caring, but because you finally understand that caring does not mean caring. Yet some people will still ask you to do just that, to step in, clean up, and hold together things that were never your responsibility. You say yes once, just to be kind. Next time they expect it, then it becomes routine. What began as a small favor quietly turns into a lifelong obligation. Suddenly, you're the glue holding everything together. Not because that's your job, but because no one else stepped up. And when you try to walk away, guilt acts like a chain, pulling you back in. But here's the truth you need to remember. Carrying what isn't yours will always come with a price. Not just your time or energy, but your health, your peace, and even your sense of self. You are not a life raft, not a backup plan, not a permanent fixer. Anyone who treats you as such has already crossed a line. And the longer you carry their weight, the further you drift from your own life. 2. Lending money when it's not a real emergency. There's a particular kind of silence that follows when someone you care about asks for money. Not because they're in true crisis, but because they made poor choices and now expect you to fix the fallout. That silence is heavy with pressure, guilt, and emotional manipulation. You're my dad, you're my sister, of course you have to help. But do you? At this stage in life, lending money is rarely a neutral act. It's not just about the dollar amount. It's about what that money represents. Stability, safety, the comfort you've built through decades of hard work and sacrifice. And once it's gone, it doesn't just leave your bank account, it often takes your peace with it. Because most people think they're asking for a loan, but in truth, they're asking you to carry the consequences of their lives. And if you say no, suddenly you're the bad guy. But ask yourself, has anyone stopped to question whether they even deserve what they're asking for? Don't confuse generosity with self-erasure. Protecting your financial boundaries isn't selfish. It's wise. You've already given enough. Now you've earned the right to say, no more. 3. Being dragged into family conflicts. Family drama has a strange kind of gravity. It pulls you in, even when you've done everything to stay out of it. Mom, can you please talk to him? Dad, just make peace with her. In an instant, you become the emotional referee in a match you never agreed to join. You're not just caught in the crossfire, you're expected to keep the peace, even while you yourself might be hurting. And these are only the first 3 of 5 unreasonable demands others may place on you. In the next section, we'll explore 2 more scenarios, just as subtle and damaging, often disguised as love or duty. Picking up where we left off, we just talked about the emotional weight of being pulled into conflicts that were never yours to carry. Now let's go deeper into the quieter, subtler demands, the ones that seem small but slowly wear you down from the inside out. 3. Being asked to mediate battles that aren't yours. Here's the truth most people don't say out loud. Not every fight is yours to solve. Being the peacemaker may sound noble, but more often than not, you end up stuck in the middle. The easy target, the one everyone blames when things fall apart. And while you're trying to keep the peace, you're burning emotional fuel you can no longer afford to spare. Picture this: siblings arguing over your house before you're even gone. A place you consider sacred is now a battlefield for ego, entitlement, and years of buried resentment. And they expect you to step in, take sides, and somehow bring harmony to a war you never started. Number. That's no longer your role. Your emotional energy at this point in life should be reserved for healing, for joy, for discovering more of who you are, not for fixing relationships that don't want to be fixed. Let them fight their own battles. You are no one's collateral damage. Before we move on to the fourth and fifth requests, if you found this video meaningful, feel free to share it with someone who needs to hear these words. And if you'd like to support the Daily Stoic, you can click the thanks button below the video. Your support, no matter the size, truly matters. 4. Being asked to change who you are. Sometimes it happens quietly. Someone looks at you and says, "You shouldn't wear that. Don't listen to that kind of music. Stop talking like that, it's weird." It sounds harmless, even casual. But what they're really saying is, stop being you. And that, subtle as it may seem, is an act of violence against your soul. You've spent decades becoming who you are, through joy, pain, growth, mistakes, and miracles. Every habit, every quirk, every story you tell, it all carries weight, meaning, and history. And now someone dares to say you're outdated, that you need to modernize yourself to fit into their world? Number. You are not a trend to be edited. You are not a blank slate to be rewritten. The desire to stay true to yourself isn't stubbornness. It's survival, because once you start chipping away at yourself, little by little, it doesn't stop. Eventually, you look in the mirror and no longer recognize who's staring back. You're not difficult. You're not rigid. You are rooted in a life you've worked hard to love. Never trade your authenticity for someone else's comfort. 5. Putting their emotions above your own. This may be the most invisible form of exploitation, because it often wears the mask of love. When someone says, "If you really love me, you do this. Please, just don't make me uncomfortable." What they're actually saying is, "Your happiness makes me uneasy." That's not love. That's control. When someone expects you to shrink your joy, soften your truth, or tone yourself down just to make them feel more at ease, they're not loving you. They're using you to manage their own discomfort. It's a subtle manipulation that turns your emotional life into a performance, where you only exist to serve someone else's comfort. But peace doesn't come from constant sacrifice. Not when it costs you your voice, your joy, your identity. The years ahead should be about alignment, not appeasement. You have the right to say no, to speak loudly, to feel deeply, to make decisions that bring you joy, even if someone else finds them inconvenient. You've earned that right 100 times over. In summary, these 5 demands: responsibility, money, mediation, self-erasure, emotional servitude, they all have one thing in common. They slowly chip away at your peace, and once your peace is gone, it's not easy to get it back. So ask yourself, who in your life has made these kinds of requests? And more importantly, why did you say yes? You are not obligated to be a lifeline, a bank, a therapist, or someone's emotional dumping ground. You are allowed to protect your peace, honor your boundaries, and choose yourself. That's not selfishness. It's clarity. It's strength. And now I want to hear from you. Which of these resonated with you the most? Have you experienced something like this before? Share your story in the comments, and if you made it this far, type intact below so I know you're still here, present, and committed to reclaiming your peace. I read every comment. Your voice matters here. If this video brought you value, subscribe to the Daily Stoic and stay with us. Because the truth, though sometimes hard to hear, is what ultimately sets us free. Coming up next, we'll talk about the first steps to reclaiming control of your life and how to live fully, unapologetically, and on your own terms.